The Galaxy S10 is the pinnacle of Samsung's S series. Sure, the flagship line and smartphones in general are growing a little stale, so the S10 and S10 Plus don't excite, but they are the result of years of fine-tuning a formula that made these arguably the best Android phones around. Now that we've had the phones for a while, let's take a deeper look at how they stack up. This is a boxier Galaxy S flagship than before, and it feels more reminiscent of the Note 9 than the curvier S9. As much as I admire how pretty the front looks when it's showing a full-screen wallpaper, the rest of the handset is pretty basic. It does come in an attractive array of colors this time: prism white, prism black, prism blue, and, for the Plus model, ceramic black and ceramic white. The prism white color that I have is nice and looks pearly when it catches light at specific angles, but it doesn't wow me like the Huawei Mate 20 Pro does. Samsung's continue to keep the headphone jack here, and you'll find the usual array of volume buttons and USB-C charging port at the bottom. Yes, that Bixby button is still there, below the volume rocker. You might accidentally press this button multiple times before realizing it's not a power button or a camera trigger. But hey, at least Samsung is allowing users to remap this key to launch basically any other app, although you can't set it to summon other assistants, like Google Assistant, for example. One of the standout aspects of the S10's design is the hole punch on the top right of the display. On the home screen or in apps like Uber or Messages, you won't notice the hole much since your eyes will be drawn to the middle or the bottom of the display. But when you're watching a video or playing a game, that black dot becomes obvious and almost annoying, although it's hardly a deal breaker. This year, the S10 screen gained HDR10 Plus certification, meaning it supports 10-bit color depth and a wider range of hues. The larger S10 Plus has a 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED display, while the regular S10 is 6.1 inches, and they both sport a 3040 by 1440 resolution. In general, despite the HDR10 Plus support, I didn't notice a significant difference between the S10s and the predecessors or competitors. Under the display, though, is entering new territory. To give the phones that edge-to-edge screen and prevent the rear cameras from being smeared up by grubby fingers, Samsung integrated an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner directly in the S10's displays, though the less premium S10e has its sensor on the edge in its power button. As opposed to optical in-screen readers on the likes of the OnePlus 6T and the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, the S10's ultrasonic system will grab the ridges of your skin, not just scan and image. In general, the S10 is easy to unlock with my finger if it's sitting on a table, but it's hard to guess where to place your finger when the screen is off, although if you tap the phone once, an indicator appears to guide you. If you're holding the S10 and trying to unlock it with your thumb though, the angle is tricky, and it usually takes me 2 or 3 tries to get it right. In most other situations, the sensor worked quickly, unlocking the phone in about a second. It's slower than, say, the Pixel 3 or the iPhone 8, but not so slow that it was annoying. The S10's camera setup is basically the same as the Note 9, except Samsung's added a new 16-megapixel ultra-wide 123-degree lens to the pair of 12-megapixel sensors before. This brings a surprising level of versatility to photography here. Jumping between the primary and ultra-wide lenses to get a new angle on a scene has been ridiculously fun, and it's possibly my favorite thing about the phone. The photos I took were often stunning, with rich colors and crisp details. The wide-angle lens is supposed to capture as much as the human eye can see, but many times it actually took more. Images shot with this lens sometimes showed barrel distortion though, especially if my subject was too close, but for sweeping landscapes or panoramas, it's exceptional. Samsung also introduced a new super steady video mode. Now we took to the skies to test this feature in a helicopter, and I was surprised that I didn't get nauseated watching the clips that we got. I often get motion sickness when I look at shaky footage. When super steady mode is on, you can only record with the main lens, which means no ultra-wide or telephoto options. The improvement in the smoothness of footage with super steady isn't significant enough that you'd want to use it in all your videos, especially since you'll be limited to one lens and can't shoot in 4K. Plus, I was already getting decently stable shots with just Samsung's existing stabilization tech. What I did like about the clips we got in the air was the even exposure thanks to HDR support. Another new software trick is shot suggestion, which tells you if your scene is level. It also analyzes the frame to tell you if there's a better composition available, which made me subconsciously want to compete with the AI. I usually preferred my own shot, though about a third of the time I had to concede that the S10 framed the better picture. Up front, the S10 Plus has upgraded cameras, so it should be better at capturing your likeness. There's a 10 megapixel sensor, and on the S10 Plus, an RGB depth sensor as well for AR effects and portrait modes. The selfies generally looked bright and colorful, although I recommend you turn off beauty mode to make sure your skin looks realistic. I still prefer the portraits from my Pixel 3 overall, but Samsung is catching up. After years of being criticized for its heavy-handed software, Samsung's finally revamped the look of its interface, which makes the S10 feel fresher than its older brothers. It makes everything easier to use with one hand, which I really welcome on the S10 Plus. Take the brightness slider, for example. One UI places it nearer to the bottom of the quick settings panel for easier reach. Other minor tweaks include using bigger text overall, and toggles are spread out so they're closer to the sides of the screen. There's also a new night mode, surprisingly helpful Bixby routines, and smart pop-up notifications, which makes alerts from apps you select show up in a Facebook chat heads style bubble on the top of the screen. All of these new software features thankfully don't slow down the phone. As I expected, the Galaxy S10 Plus is a powerhouse. It blazed through loading my Instagram feed and web pages in Chrome and switched between my messages, Telegram, and Google Docs effortlessly. Though, the Snapdragon 855 chip struggled to keep up when it came to more intensive tasks like recording multiple stabilized videos in HDR. The phone ran hot after my fourth or fifth consecutive 30-second clip, and the high temperatures were likely exacerbated by the fact that I was sitting in the sun. Under that heat, the S10 Plus refused to record video on numerous attempts and often took a few seconds to save my footage after I hit stop. The good news is, the S10 cooled down within a few minutes and resumed the speedy performance that I was used to. There's also AI that's meant to squeeze 24 hours plus of juice out of the S10 and S10 Plus's 3400 mAh and 4100 mAh cells, respectively. I was pleasantly surprised to find that this claim was actually true. I typically got through 2 full days out of the S10 Plus with light use, which is messages and photo taking, before needing a charge. Now, even with heavier camera use and generating multiple AR emoji, the phone hung around for a day and a half before throwing up a low power warning. You can also use the S10's long-lasting battery to give power to other devices wirelessly. The S10 has to be at least 30% charged for this to work though, and it does take a while for it to juice up other gadgets. I used it to try and charge up another journalist's S10, and it took 3 to 5 minutes to push through just 1% of juice. This is really a solution that's better suited for accessories with smaller batteries like the Galaxy Buds and the Galaxy Watch. Smartphone hardware is getting stale. This is true across the industry, and it's evident in not just the Galaxy S10, but in recent flagships like the Pixel 3 and 3 XL as well. That's not to say that these phones are bad. It just means that companies who want to stand out have to get creative in their software, or apparently make screens that can fold. Ultimately, the S10 Plus continues Samsung's excellent track record as one of the best Android phone makers.